This is David Nise. I'm back, and we're gonna do another day of our pursuit of happiness. So I'm gonna start out by trying to run 3 miles outside. It shouldn't be a problem. I want to do it in less than 30 minutes. So we're gonna essentially just hang out. You're just gonna come with me while I'm running, and I'll talk about my pursuit of happiness and what I need your help with going forward. So I'm working on this system where it can help anybody be happy if they just understand the way that the neurological pathways work in their brains, combined with the happy chemicals that every mammal has. So I'm going to talk about running in particular because that's what I'm doing right now. First thing, if you've never ran, it's not fun. I don't like it. I don't want to do it, but it's a part of being happy whenever you're a person. And let me explain that. So serotonin is a chemical that everybody has in them, and it makes you feel happy. It gives you a warm, inviting, this is a good idea, we should definitely go do this type feeling. And I never noticed or knew my entire life that running could do that. It's actually that simple, that just doing exercise outside can do that for you. But you don't actually have to run. You don't have to do it outside. Any physical exertion will eventually get you there. So I wear a watch with the heart rate monitor on it, so you can see exactly where we're at. It's easy for me at the moment. Doesn't mean it'll be easy the entire time. So some running tips. Always stretch before you leave. Don't forget to stretch out your legs before you leave. Otherwise, you'll run into all sorts of weird pains and cramps, and after the fact, wish you would have remembered to do your stretches. So I always have to remember to do those. Wear the right shoes. Make sure you're wearing shoes that are comfortable for you to actually run in over and over again. You don't want to tear up the back of your feet. You don't want to hurt them more than they're already going to get hurt, because running's already going to suck anyways. Doesn't make any sense to have shoes that are going to make it hurt even more. I'm running up a hill right now, so getting kind of winded. So the other thing about running is the endorphins that you can get from running. Now, if you're not running very fast, it's not really that big a deal. But anytime that you're actually pushing yourself beyond what you're already capable of and learning a new way for your body to cope with the situation, your body will release endorphins. Now, I don't want to make this a drug channel or anything like that, but back when I was learning about endorphins and dopamine and oxytocin, there's a direct connection between why drugs are such a problem and happiness. So endorphins, I don't know how serious you've ever taken them or if you've even heard of the word before, but the most intense drug that I've ever read about would be heroin, and that drug releases endorphins on an unhuman or inhuman scale, and that feeling that you apparently can get from that is so intense that, as we know it, can destroy people's lives and make you make a lot of terrible decisions just because you're chasing that happiness. I mean, it comes off of the drug and a warm feeling, but it really just acts on what your body's already capable of to an extent. Not that level, but strongly suggest you don't ever try doing drugs. Just stick to yeah, there's a deer. 2 deer. Oh, it's about 6:30 in the morning. So running. I do 2 different kinds. I do long distance, I do interval. But for the last year or so, I've done pretty much randomly, once every now and then, type runs. And I've been extremely lazy about it. So this next year, I want to hit 1,000 miles by next January. And it should be entirely possible if I were to run 3 miles a day. I could miss about 30 days in a year if I was sick or had something else going on, but otherwise 1,000 miles, it sounds like a lot, but when you break it down into little pieces, it's not that big a deal. Just assuming that I can stay focused on it. Now, I have one huge advantage. I've already been running since 2017, so I don't have to work on that initial, oh, this really sucks, and get my body all used to it. So I'll tell you my little bit of running story. I didn't run until I was 30 years old. It was 2017, and I always wanted to. I'd always been intrigued by, you know, what is this runner's high, or what good is it for you to actually run? It always seemed like something that I couldn't do because I was out of shape. I always made up excuses like I couldn't just go outside and run. Like, there's anything aside from that, you could totally just go out and run whenever you want. It's not, it's like the most natural human thing to do. So I started running 2017. I bought a treadmill, and then it sat there for like about 3 months. And eventually, I remember I just stepped on it and decided to give it a shot. And I learned that my legs are not ready to run. Not even kind of. So I couldn't run a mile without stopping, let alone multiple miles without stopping. So it was the end of April 2017 I started. I think it was more of a, I turned 30, so I need to get off my ass and do something about this. I see another animal up here. So I did. Some animals up there in the bush. I don't know what it was. So after about a month, I was able to run for at least 1 whole mile. But that meant I had to get up and do it over and over and over, no matter how much it hurt, to get it done. But why would you want to do something like that? Why would you want to torture yourself and have all these bad times? Like, what's the point? And the point is, aside from the endorphins that you can get whenever you're pushing the limits, you get serotonin instead. But how do you get serotonin? Well, when you're running, the physiology of your brain and body entirely is changing to accommodate that new state cardiovascularly. And part of that happens to be a serotonin boost. Now for me, it comes in a few different versions. One is I'm already upset and depressed and I'm not gonna feel anything. So you go harder into those endorphins, push your limits in those states, and maybe if you get lucky you can whip yourself out of that state. And the second, it's a light little, it's almost like a warm feeling, I guess, but nothing really significant. This third is a very grateful, thankful feeling. Now, the way that it works in my mind is that it's not so much while it's happening that you feel this, but it's after the fact. It's whenever you go back to those memories and you go, that run really hurt, that run really sucked, but I ended up doing it anyways. And because of that, I'm now a person that I'm happy to be, because I didn't just accept sitting around and doing nothing as the pinnacle of my existence. I always think that the framework for happiness, you have to understand it like you would what makes a car turn on. For example, a gas-powered car, what does it take? You know that it takes gasoline and a spark of some sort and oxygen. You don't even really need to understand compression or anything else. Just those few things, and you could come to the conclusion of how it works. Now with happiness, after I researched it and tried it out on myself, it really does boil down to those few happy chemicals in balance with your stress chemicals, combined with whatever you're gonna do with your life, it being your choice, not someone else's choice. You live a life true to yourself, and every day could be the life that you dreamed of. My heart rate is at 167. At 1.27 miles. So whenever I started running back in 2017, eventually I got to where I could run a mile in a row. Then it took me about until July, so end of May, April, May, June, July, in order to actually be able to run a sustained amount of miles, whether it be 3 or more. And I learned that running actually boils down to cardiovascular fitness, not so much your muscles in your legs and whatever else muscles you want to think about, but you can't even see it. You can't see how cardiovascular fit a person actually is until you can see how much distance they can cover in a period of time. Now, the cardiovascular benefits are extreme. Your entire body benefits from having a healthy heart. The blood that your brain and every organ